Today I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic. Agile, it's not about speed. Why I'm going to talk about this topic? Because I was in a training last week when we were talking about Agile, project management in general. One of the topics that pop up, it's people asking, oh, Agile, it's about speed. And that's something that I want to clarify for you. But before I start, let me introduce myself if you still do not know me. My name is Guilherme, and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. How do I do that in practice? Well, basically in practice, I help people that are either struggling with their project, like they are feeling anxious, they do not know how to proceed with the next steps, they don't have clarity in how to solve a problem, how to communicate with management, and sometimes I work with them one on one to help them to get that clarity, to give that structure to the project to make sure that they can perform better. Sometimes I help them to prepare their CV. Sometimes I help them in my development program there. So there's different ways just to land a bit the information for you there. And before I forget, also make sure that here you like this video and share with other people because it's very important. Because first, that helps more people to understand that more about Agile, more about project management, and how to add value in their organization. But of course, you also help me to reach more people and spread my message because that also helps my social media there. So let's talk about Agile. And every time we talk about Agile, there's not every time, but very often you get different types of misconception where when you talk about agile people are thinking about doing more meetings or people think about uh, speed as I already mentioned here, and in reality that's not the focus of agile. Let me explain to you why. Well, first of all, of course, uh, all projects they want to have a faster delivery. All projects want to have a shorter time to market. So that's not about doing a project or not. So this is there for all types of projects. But of course, what changed there is when you're so all the companies have this goal, but the focus of agile is delivering more value. Let me make a short analogy here to explain that for you. For example, think about that you're traveling there. Say you want to travel from Amsterdam just because I'm in the Netherlands. If you say I want to travel from Amsterdam and I want to go to Paris there. So, of course, you have options, you have different routes that you can take. But if you say I'm going to I want my focus is on speed. So you start to travel, you take the autobahn, and your focus the autobahn is the road in Germany, where there's no speed limit, basically, most of the case, depending on the time where you're crossing to. But anyway, so you're traveling there, you're focusing the autobahn, and saying, I'm going as fast as possible because I want to go fast. But here's where it's getting tricky. Does not mean just because you're going fast from Amsterdam to Paris, or your goal was that, does not mean that just because you are driving fast in the road, you're going to the right direction. It might as well be that you are going to the wrong direction and you're going to the direction of Berlin. That's kind of the opposite where you want to go. You're getting far away from Paris. So going up faster does not mean anything. Say, I'm going up faster. Okay, meaning that if you're just going faster, you're just going far away from your goal. So speed is not a measure of performance by itself. Of course, that's one of the things that you want to understand because in the end, if you go to the right direction, also understanding how fast you can go, it's important. But that's also not the focus of agile. It's not the main focus on that. And I know that people might be wondering, but that's not true because we want to go faster, we want to go agile. And there's a lot of misconceptions. You see that because agile is a big trend, most of organizations do not even understand what agile is about. So let me first clarify that agile it's much more as a culture than a process itself because it's a culture to foster and develop your team and to make sure that you have the right prioritization to deliver value. And if you do not believe my point about the speed, What I'm going to show you here, it's one of the items in the Agile, one of the principles in the Agile Manifesto, which is, let me find out that, well, it's basically the principle number weight that you see here, that your goal is to promote a sustainable development. And a sustainable development means that you need to be able to keep a constant pace in indefinitely with your team, meaning that, because if you're focusing only on going faster, then say, how can I go faster? Put your team to work more hours. There's a lot of companies that are doing that. But in the end, they are just burning down their teams. They are just creating more problems. So putting your team just to work extra because some type of reason that you say the speed is so important for you, because some people only focusing about the speed, that's not a sustainable piece. So it's against the Agile Manifesto, it's against the Agile principles there. So keep that in mind. So Agile is not about speed. Agile is not about meetings. Because a lot of people think, because, okay, I'm doing daily meetings, then I'm using Agile or I'm doing Scrum. Well, I can tell you, neither Scrum or Agile, they're about to have daily meetings. Yes, if you are following a Scrum framework, you have the daily stand ups or the daily Scrum, or a lot of people call stand up. But the idea of a daily is team alignment, to make sure that the team is aligned, and the team is aligned also in what was done, but also the team is aligned in what is needed to progress. And of course, if there are questions and if there are challenges, the team can help each other. It's also a chance to support, to develop the team. Is also a chance to inspect the work and to understand how the things are progressing there. So first, keep that in mind. Having meetings, having daily meetings is not Agile or Scrum. So I hope that at this point you understand. If you say, okay, so Agile is not about speed, it's not about meetings. What is Agile about? What is Scrum about? Mainly talking about Scrum, because if you don't know, kind of the Agile term is, of course, it's well known, because the Agile is kind of umbrella term that can be used in several different frameworks, Scrum, Kanban, Extreme Programming, and so on. So the first of all, if you hear people saying, "I'm doing Agile," does not mean a lot to you, because yeah, doing Agile is doing what does doing Agile means, because Agile comes from the Agile Manifesto, where you have the Agile Manifesto, you have the principles, but you follow the Agile Manifesto, you follow the principles, but you need some type of framework, even though if it's a simpler one like Scrum and not completed on purpose, to execute something. So when you are talking about Agile, what's the focus of Agile? First of all, you are going to see different items, and of course, I can represent this easily in the Agile Manifesto. The focus is on people and their interactions. What means people in their interactions? It means that the focus is developing your team. So that Agile comes, of course, from a lot of the Lean philosophy and the Lean culture there. That you want to have a self-organizing team that feel has the ownership and the feeling to execute something, that they are working for improvement. Then you enter like a positive loop, where if the team is self-organizing, they are empowered, they are collaborating well together. More they know, more they are going to improve, and you enter a very positive cycle where the team can start to perform. And of course, if the performance of the team is improving, what's going to happen? Well, usually you gain speed, so your time to market reduce. But the focus is different. The focus is not going faster. You're not just looking for the speed. You're looking to develop your team, and as a result, you're going to gain speed. Huh? So that's one of the important things here for you to understand. Second, what you're going to look for if you're using Agile or if you're using mainly Scrum. I have, I think, a nice one that outputs. I did not add here. Here you go. Scrum or Agile, it's about value delivery. Why I'm focusing on value delivery? If you work, if you are working in projects, your main goal as a project manager is to deliver value. That's for any type of project. But if you are working with Agile, in this case Scrum, they talk about value delivery in a way considering that you are going to prioritize the work that you are going to be done there. And of course, your scope, if you are using an Agile framework, if you want to call that, it's not fully fixed, meaning that you have the possibility that you're not going to do everything that you had in your starting list. Of course, more the team learns, more this product backlog or the scope should be adapted. But you're always focusing on value. So the idea is not doing a sprint during interaction fast with a lot of things and go to the customer and show them, here I did 100 items. It's not about that. It's about saying, instead of delivering 100 items, it's say, what are the items that we can deliver in an iteration or in one sprint that has most of value for the customer. So instead of going there and delivering 100 items, you might go there and deliver 5. But those 5 items, they have high value added for the customer. That's why it's about value optimization. And this is a key point here, not speed, value optimization. And why I'm saying that? Because just because you are doing more, just as I mentioned the analogy, just because you have speed does not mean that you are doing the right things. That's also why you see that you should not do more than customer wants there, or more than customers expecting there. So you should not look for more outputs. You should look for more outcomes. And I'm going to put the definition also so it makes easier for you to understand what I'm talking about. Uh, Here, what's an output? Output is delivery something. So looking for more output is looking for more speed. So that's not what you want. What you want is more outcome. More outcomes mean more value. And that's why if you read even the PMBOK, if you go back to the 5 or 6 edition, and of course if you're studying for the PMP, one of the things that you should take into consideration, because a lot of people think that okay, delivering more to the customer, it's good, but in the end, delivering more to the customer, it's a bad project management practice. That's called gold plating. Why is that? Well, if you are delivering more and you do not, just because you want to surprise the customer, you do not understand if what you are doing there has value to the customer. First of point. So if you are putting time, money, because every time you invest resource, you invest money. If you are creating something new, even if it's a small piece, usually there's a risk involved there, so you're taking additional risk for something that you really do not understand if the customer wants. So that's why it's considered a bad practice. So the idea is not delivering more. The idea is delivering more value, and that's also why you see there in the PM box have an edition there that value is one of the core principles of project management, and that's why you see a lot of value focus here when you talk about agile. With the idea, of course, if you are doing predictive or if you are doing agile, in both words, value it's the most important thing. Value is the ultimate indicator of success of any project. And when I'm saying that, I'm really literally quoting the PMBOK. So your job as a project manager, as a program manager, portfolio manager, as a scrum master, as a product owner, is focus on value delivery. Of course, depending on the position that you have there, how you're going to deliver value can be different, but your focus is delivering value. Your focus is not delivering speed. As I mentioned, if you are developing your team properly, and when I'm talking about developing your team, I'm talking about Scrum, Agile, but I'm also talking about waterfall here. Your team starts to perform better. As a result of your team to start to perform better, you get you can do things faster. Then you get speed. But you should never focus on if you're using Agile or if you're using waterfall only on speed, because in the end, and that's also even if you're studying, for example, for a certification as a professional Scrum Master, professional Scrum Product Owner, or professional Agile leadership, your focus is always value there. That's why if you look if you're studying for those certifications from Scrum organization, you're going to see that comparing velocity among teams is considered a bad practice. Why? Because velocity is basically you're measuring the number of outputs that a team had in a sprint or in an interaction there. But what does it say? Well, team A they did 100, team B they did 50. Does it say anything about you? No, because it might as well be that the team that did 50 delivered much more value to the customer than the team that did 100. So stop focusing on only talking about speed. Start focusing on only on value delivery. When you start to change the focus for value delivery, you also kind of uh, start. You're going to change the focus in a lot of the discussions that you have. So because if you're looking for speed, you're just looking how to do things faster. But if you think about, I already mentioned that the entire agile world has developed based on the lean culture and lean principles there. You're going to see that the focus of lean is also value delivery. And what lean does not consider value, everything else is considered a waste. So if you start to cut out waste that you have in your system, naturally you should reduce your amount of work and should help with your lead time, with your speed. And it's a very big shift of paradigm, because a lot of times people just thinking how they want to go faster. And I've been in plenty of discussions like that in a lot of different organizations. They say, what do I want? I want to go faster. Why does it take so long? So the question is not why it takes so long. I think it go faster, because that's a very bad project management practice. By the way, if you go to your team and tell them, they tell you that they need 1 week, you say, I think it can be done faster. Or and some I've heard that also from a project manager. He was telling his team saying, if I was the one doing that, I could do it. I could have done it faster. Like, what kind of crap is this one? If you think you can go faster, just go and do it. You need to build on your team. So, and instead of saying, I think it go faster, I think start to look for the data. Start to look for value. How the value is flowing in your system. Where do you see potential waste there? How can you reduce this waste? So that's one way that you can try to speed it up. How can you empower your team? Because usually decision making, that's something that affects the speed of decision making. That's something that affects our projects. If there's a big decision that needs to be taken there, in some organizations I've seen taking months. So of course, if a decision that's important for the project development takes months, that will impact the project progress in months. So again, then people ask, oh, but why it takes so long? So when you are looking for value delivery, you start to see all those other dependencies there. Oh, decision making. So we need to control how long that we need to take a decision. Some decisions they have time, so it's fine if you postpone it because they might not impact the project. Some other decisions they need a very fast reaction. And in a lot of organizations, they cannot have this fast reaction. So And if you take a lot of time to decide, it's also considered a way, can be seen as a waste. So how you reduce those things? One of the ways that, of course, you want to do it, and that's, of course, one of the values that you have in developing your team and empowering your team, is the decisions, or most of the decisions, the team is empowered to take them. So you have speed of the decision making process, which, of course, in the end, helps your team to have this feeling of ownership, helps to develop your team, but also helps to reduce your lead time, helps to reduce your time to market, helps you to go faster. So, but again, your focus is not going to be, I want to go faster. Your focus is, I want to empower my team because I trust my team that they can deliver the best work. I trust them that they're capable of, and they can develop, and they can do much better the work than someone like a manager or director, because this manager or director, he or she is not following the project day to day. So that's why, very important again, you are going to focus on these items. And when you talk about, so that's one of the items that you talk. You are going to focus on leadership and team development, which in the end is going to improve the performance of your team, which in the end will improve your speed. And someone might say, yeah, but you have these sprints where you need to deliver stuff to the customer. Yes, because the idea of having a sprint in the time boxing is considering that you are working in an environment that's complex, that's hard to gather all the requirements there. So what you're going to do, instead of take the requirements the way you understand, putting 1 year of work, then checking with your customer if you're in the right direction, what do? You break these down. You break this down in a sprint. So you work in part of the requirements that you understand, and you go and ask the customer, dear customer, this is the work that I did so far based on the requirements I understood. You're not going to ask that, but that's what you're trying to say. It's, am I going the right direction? Yes or no? That's why, of course, when you look for books like Lean Enterprise, for example, they have the concept of minimum viable product. What's a minimum viable product? Instead of you take years developing a fully product there, which you don't know if the market was going to accept or not, you develop a MVP, minimum viable product. You test it. If there's market acceptance there in what you did, you keep developing that. So it's a different way to look for things, but basically it's the same idea or the same principle that you are executing when you are looking for agile or when you are looking for a scrum. You are looking to have a short feedback loop with the customer to make sure that you can add value. In the end, if you do that, what happens? You gain speed. Because if you work for 1 year, then you talk with the customer say, actually, that's not what I want. You have 1 year of work that you kind of lost it, or you need to change, or you need to adapt. If you do that in a sprint of 2 weeks, there's 2 weeks of work that you need to change or adapt, which is much faster than that 1 year of work. And this is so important for them, even if you are working with construction. Think about if you're building a new house there. What do you want there if say you're buying a house? If you're a contractor, you're not going to do the full design and start and then go to the customer and show, this is the house I'm planning for you. And the customer say, yeah, but actually this bedroom is too small. I want an extra bathroom here. I want a bigger living room, or I want something different in the kitchen. No, what you're going to do? You create the first mock-up of the house and you sit with your customer and say, dear customer, that's the concept of the house. Do you think what do you like here? And the customer say, I want a bigger bedroom. I want an extra bathroom. I want this. I want that. And you're going to collect the feedback. Then you update your mock-up design or your concept design there, and you go to the customer. Customer, this is how it looks like. Then the customer say, yeah, that's what I want. Then you go for the next steps to developing your design there. Then you are going to work in a civil design, infrastructure design, foundations, and so on. But you need to have the concept cleared first. What you are doing here, you're introducing a feedback loop there. And I've done that in different types of project. And you can do that, like, for example, when I've worked engineering, procurement, and construction projects for power substations, one of the things that you do, because then you have a very tight timeline, you have a fixed price and fixed time project, so you want to go fast. But for some critical items, you cannot work with a lot of projects in parallel. So what did I did? In this case, was also a building there that we had to put equipment inside it, panels and so on. Say, dear customer, this is very critical because this is part of our critical path. But before I go and I develop a lot of stuff like infrastructural design, foundation, and so on, I need you to agree in the layout, in this concept here. Why? Because, and I need you to provide feedback fast to that one. Because once we agree on that, I'm going to work on other types of design that they are going to take longer. And if I need to keep reviewing that because the concept change, we are going to waste time and that is going to impact the timeline. So what did I did in this case? I include a customer feedback loop, which in the end helps me to go faster. And again, I'm here. I was using waterfall, but I'm just trying to show you that speed is not the most important thing, and that I'm trying to explain to you why, when you think about, for example, Scrum, usually those things help you to go faster, but not necessarily that the speed is your focus. Because as I already mentioned, you should never compare velocity among teams and say, hey, team, why you just have a velocity of 100 and the other one has 150? You're not doing a good job. That's bad leadership there. Other thing that can help you, your team to go, that will help your team to go faster than, but it's a short feedback loop for the team. Meaning that if you are using Scrum, you have something that's called sprint retrospective, where the teams need to sit together to understand how they can work together, how they can add value together, and how they can improve. So they are going to improve how they are communicating, how they are working together, the collaboration. And because this feedback loop happens often, the team has a lot of opportunities to improve, which in the end, if the team is improving, gets better, it starts reflecting a better performance, which will lead to a shorter time to market, which means a higher speed. But your focus is not looking for the speed blind and saying, do more, do more, do more, do more, do more. Is how you can work on the fundamental items that in the end they are going to help you to get better speed. They are going to help you to have a fast time to market. But they're not the focus how you get there. The same thing I mentioned at the beginning about the analogy if you're driving the road. So if you're just going from Amsterdam to Paris and your only concern is the speed, you might end up in the wrong road. Even though if you go very fast, you're going to very fast the wrong direction. And again, you need to implement some type of feedback loop to make sure that if you have the right speed there, or um, if you can have a higher speed there, you need to make sure that you're in the right direction. Otherwise, you're not going to get to the value that you want there. So those are very critical and important items for you to take into the consideration. So every time you see a discussion where people are talking about agile is doing things faster. No, agile is not about doing things faster. In the end, that's a result if you do things correctly, if you do value prioritization, shorter customer feedback loop, shorter feedback to for the team, and if you focus on leadership development and team development, yes, you end up getting things faster, but not because your focus is on speed. It's because you're focusing on fundamental parts of your organization that will help you to deliver the speed. In the end, it's like going back to the analogy of the road. It's not just because if you have, for example, if you are driving a Fiat 500, you can get to a top speed. But just because you are pushing the pedal faster does not mean that the car will go faster. What you are doing here when you are working those items? Well, you're improving your car. So instead of trying to go faster with a Fiat 500, you're taking, I don't know, a BMW Series 7 then yes, you can go much faster than going with a Fiat 500, but you need to build that. That, of course, has a kind of price, or that requires a type of investment for you to get there. So don't overthink about the speed. The speed will come if you are doing the right things. And of course, I understand time to market is an important KPI in most of the organizations there, and you can measure there. But it's important that when you have discussions about speed and time to market, you do not focus only on, like, if you're in the car, how you can push the pedal faster to make sure that you can gain a higher speed. Understand what do I need to develop, what do I need to invest, so I have a more powerful car. And yeah, I like BMWs, by the way. That's why I always mention. But if you have a BMW Series 7, yes, you're going to have much higher speed than if you go for a Fiat 500. But that's about developing the right things there, investing in the right things. That's what's going to build that. So, just to wrap up all the discussion again, what's important for you? What's important takeaways that you need to have here? First one, Agile is not about speed. Agile, it's about value prioritization, value delivery, and of course, make sure that you have shorter feedback loops to confirm the direction where you're progressing there. Which, by the way, I'm saying agile, but you can think, that's why I make these key points here. You can think exactly those key points and understand what from that you can apply for your waterfall project. Because in the end, you say, but I cannot work in a sprint, so I cannot follow Scrum. Yes, you cannot do that. But you can look for those pieces of Scrum and understand how you can adapt to that to your waterfall project, which in the end, what's called hybrid. It's a hybrid approach because you are implementing stuff from Scrum in a waterfall environment, which is totally okay. As long as those items are adding value for you and for your project, that's what's going to matter for you. Agile is not about having meetings. If you hear people saying, I do stand ups every day, and a lot of people they do stand ups, but they are not even, they call it stand ups, but it's a 1 hour meeting where everyone is sitting and talking about it. This is nothing to do with Scrum. Scrum, first of all, it's about time boxing, so a daily cannot have more than 15 minutes per day there. If you are doing more than that, you are not even adapting this in the right way, because depending on activity, if you do 1 hour meeting every day, you are just wasting almost one day of work in meetings that might not bring any value there. So keep that in mind. So agile is not about having meetings. And by the way, neither waterfall. Meetings are a mean to an end. So you should try to limit that to make sure and just keep the ones that can have value added there for you. So this is what Agile is not about. And I invested time to explain to you what is Agile about. And I hope that by now you have a good understanding of that, or have a better understanding about Agile. If you would comment here, so I would appreciate if you can comment in the video here. What's your main takeaway of this video here? Because that helps me to understand if my message was well perceived. Don't forget, of course, to comment here what you understand here, but also make sure you follow me for more content. Every week there's more content on my YouTube channel. Every week there, every day I post new content on Instagram to help people better understand project management, to help people to better develop their project management skills. Because in the end, if your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in that journey. And I hope I'm going to see you soon. Thank you and bye.